What if the most valuable coin you'll ever own isn't locked inside a bank vault, displayed in a museum, or sitting in a billionaire's private collection? What if it's hiding in a dusty jar of pennies, forgotten in a kitchen cabinet, waiting for someone to recognize its true worth? Law Coins World Lincoln Penny Coins 1965. Every year, millions of Americans spend old coins without a second thought. Pennies are tossed into tip jars, fed into vending machines, and dropped into coin-counting machines by people who assumed they're worth exactly 1 cent. But collectors know a secret that most people never learn. Sometimes the smallest coin in your pocket can carry the biggest opportunity. And today, we're uncovering one of the most intriguing mysteries in modern numismatics, the 1965 mint-marked Monticello Thomas Lincoln penny coin, a coin surrounded by rarity, controversy, extraordinary error varieties, and whispers of values reaching as high as $791,000 under the right circumstances. That number sounds impossible, but then again, so does the idea that someone could accidentally spend a fortune disguised as pocket change. The difference between a spender and a collector is simple. The spender sees a penny, the collector sees a possibility. The spender sees 1 cent, the collector sees hidden wealth. And when it comes to rare Lincoln cents, that difference in perspective can be worth a life-changing amount of money. The story begins during one of the most fascinating periods in American coin production. The mid-1960s represented a time of significant change for the United States Mint. Coin shortages were creating challenges across the nation. Demand for circulating coinage was increasing, and the mint was under pressure to produce enormous quantities of coins as efficiently as possible. During this period, minting procedures evolved, production accelerated, and unexpected anomalies occasionally slipped through the cracks. Most coins produced during that era entered circulation unnoticed, but a tiny number became legends. These are the coins that collectors spend years searching for. These are the coins that generate excitement at auctions. These are the coins that transform ordinary pocket change into extraordinary discoveries. And among dedicated collectors, certain 1965 Lincoln cent varieties have achieved an almost mythical reputation. Some enthusiasts refer to them as ghost coins, not because they don't exist, because they appear so rarely that many collectors never encounter one in person. Think about that for a moment. Thousands of collectors, decades of searching, countless coin shows, millions of examined pennies, and still, some examples remain almost impossible to locate. Attention reset. Before we go any further, take a quick mental inventory. Do you have a coin jar somewhere in your home? An old piggy bank? A forgotten collection inherited from a relative? If the answer is yes, remember this: the overwhelming majority of valuable coin discoveries don't come from treasure hunters. They come from ordinary people checking ordinary places. Now let's dive into what makes this particular coin so fascinating. When serious numismatists discuss valuable Lincoln cents, they focus on 3 factors above all else: rarity, condition, and errors. Errors are where the story becomes truly exciting. One of the most desirable varieties involves double die characteristics. Unlike ordinary wear or damage, a true double die originates during the die creation process itself. The result can create visible doubling on dates, inscriptions, lettering, and design elements. Under proper magnification, collectors may observe separation lines, secondary impressions, or unusual thickness and specific features. These characteristics are highly prized because they originate from the manufacturing process rather than post-mint damage. Then there are dramatic die cracks. Most die cracks are minor. Some are barely noticeable, but occasionally, they develop into spectacular features that attract intense collector interest. Imagine a coin carrying a bold raised line stretching across part of the design. To the average person, it might look like a flaw. To an experienced collector, it could be evidence of a fascinating minting anomaly. The same applies to retained cuts, die breaks, and progressive die deterioration. Each tells a story about what happened inside the mint during production. Each transforms an ordinary coin into a historical artifact, and each can significantly increase desirability. But there's another category that generates even more excitement: transitional and experimental characteristics. Throughout numismatic history, Collectors have pursued coins that appear different from what official records would suggest, whether caused by unusual plan case, experimental production processes, or unexpected manufacturing variations. These pieces often become the subject of intense study. Because when something doesn't fit established expectations, collectors pay attention, very close attention. Attention reset. Here's a question. If someone handed you a penny worth $791,000, would you know how to identify it? Most people wouldn't. And that's exactly why valuable coins continue slipping through everyday transactions. The market depends on knowledge gaps. Collectors profit from recognizing what others overlook. Now let's talk about preservation. A rare alone isn't enough to achieve extraordinary value. Condition can make the difference between a modest premium and a headline-grabbing auction result. Professional grading services evaluate every detail: surface quality, luster, strike sharpness, eye appeal, originality. Even microscopic imperfections can influence the final grade. And in the world of elite numismatics, a single grading point can represent thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. The finest known examples often occupy a category of their own. They become trophies, they become benchmarks, they become targets for serious collectors seeking the very best available specimens. This is where scarcity and condition collide. Imagine an already rare variety. Now imagine only a handful surviving in exceptional condition. Suddenly, competition intensifies dramatically. The number of interested buyers exceeds the number of available coins. Prices begin climbing, demand grows stronger, and the market takes notice. Over time, some of these coins become nearly impossible to acquire. Not because collectors don't want them, because owners refuse to sell them. Think about that. The rarest coins often disappear into private collections for decades. When one finally emerges, bidding wars can erupt among determined buyers. That dynamic is one reason certain coins achieve astonishing values. Attention reset. Take a moment and look around. Somewhere nearby, there may be a container filled with loose change. Maybe it's sitting on a shelf. Maybe it's hidden in a drawer. Maybe it's gathering dust in the garage. Funny thing about pocket change, people spend more time checking their stock portfolio than examining the coins they already own. Yet history has repeatedly shown that hidden treasures can be found in both places. As awareness grows, the market continues evolving. The internet has transformed coin collecting. A collector in Florida can compete instantly with a collector in Texas, California, or New York. Auction houses now reach global audiences. Rare discoveries spread across collector communities within hours. Information travels faster than ever before, and increased visibility creates urgency. When more people learn about scarce varieties, demand naturally rises. The available supply remains unchanged. The result is increased competition. That's why many collectors carefully monitor emerging trends. They understand that today's overlooked variety can become tomorrow's headline attraction. Now let's address the figure everyone wants to hear about: $791,000. That number represents the type of valuation associated with an extraordinary specimen under extraordinary circumstances. We're talking about a coin that combines exceptional rarity, remarkable preservation, recognized authenticity, and strong market demand. Not every 1965 Lincoln cent will command such attention. Far from it. Most examples remain common. Most are worth only modest amounts. But the existence of elite rarities changes the conversation entirely, because it proves something important. Extraordinary value can exist within an ordinary-looking object. That's the principle that drives collectors to keep searching, to keep learning, to keep examining every detail. The psychology behind coin collecting is fascinating. Unlike many investments, coins connect wealth with discovery. You don't always need to purchase a rare coin. Sometimes you find one. Sometimes you inherit one. Sometimes you stumble across one where nobody thought to look. And those possibilities create excitement. Every coin carries potential. Most reveal nothing unusual. A few reveal something remarkable. And an incredibly small number reveal something extraordinary. Attention reset. Imagine finding a coin worth more than a luxury vehicle. Now imagine discovering that coin in a box you almost threw away. That possibility may be rare, but it isn't impossible. History has already proven that. So how should collectors approach a coin like this? First, Education matters. Study known varieties, learn authentication standards, understand the difference between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage. Second, use proper magnification and lighting. Many important characteristics are difficult to see with the naked eye. Third, seek professional evaluation whenever a coin appears unusual. Authentication is essential. Expert analysis can prevent costly mistakes. Most importantly, develop patience. The greatest discoveries rarely happen overnight. They happen because collectors consistently pay attention when others don't. And that's the real lesson behind the 1965 mint-marked Monticello Thomas Lincoln penny coin. It's not simply a story about money. It's a story about awareness, about recognizing opportunity, about understanding that extraordinary value often hides behind ordinary appearances. The next time you receive change from a cashier, don't dismiss those pennies. Look at them, study them, question them, because every remarkable coin discovery began with someone taking a closer look. The market remains active. Collectors remain vigilant. Rare coins continue emerging from forgotten collections across America. And somewhere, right now, another extraordinary discovery may be waiting to happen. Maybe in a coin jar, maybe in an estate collection, maybe in a roll of pennies sitting quietly at the back of a drawer. The search continues because the rewards can be extraordinary, and because every collector understands one simple truth: you never know which coin will change everything until you decide to look. And speaking of discoveries that change everything, our next episode explores a mysterious Lincoln cent that many experts consider even harder to find than the varieties we've discussed today. Some believe only a tiny number of examples remain undiscovered, and the stories surrounding them sound almost too incredible to be true. If you think this coin was rare, wait until you see what's coming next. What if I told you that a coin worth just 1 cent could be hiding in an old coffee can, a forgotten dresser drawer, or a jar of loose change in your kitchen, and that same coin could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Most people would laugh. After all, a penny is a penny, right? That's exactly what countless Americans thought before unknowingly spending coins that later turned out to be worth lifelong coins. World Lincoln Penny 1980 coins. Changing money. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins in modern numismatic circles, the 1980 mint-marked Monticello Thomas Lincoln penny coin, a piece that some collectors believe may represent one of the most overlooked treasures still circulating through private collections and forgotten estates. Here's the uncomfortable truth: every day, people dump old coins into vending machines, coin counting machines, and cash registers without giving them a second glance. Meanwhile, collectors carefully inspect those same coins under magnification, searching for tiny details that can transform a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure, 6-figure, or even potentially a 7-figure collectible. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck, it's knowledge. And today, that knowledge could make all the difference. Before we get into the astonishing values and rare varieties, ask yourself a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies sitting in your home? Not glanced at them, really looked at them. Because somewhere in America right now, someone is unknowingly holding a coin that experts would gladly pay thousands of dollars to own. The story begins in 1980. A fascinating year in American coin production. The United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to satisfy growing demand for circulation coinage. Most of these pennies were ordinary. They entered circulation, changed hands countless times, and became the background noise of everyday commerce. But hidden among those billions were a handful of extraordinary pieces created by circumstances that were never supposed to happen. Collectors often refer to certain rare varieties as ghost coins, not because they don't exist, but because they appear so rarely that many hobbyists spend decades searching without ever seeing one in person. The rarest examples connected to the 1980 mint-marked Lincoln cent have earned that reputation. Their scarcity has fueled speculation, excitement, and fierce competition among serious collectors. Now let's talk about the details that separate a common penny from a potentially valuable discovery. One of the most sought-after characteristics involves dramatic repunched mint marks. During this era, mint marks were added to working dies by hand. That process occasionally created alignment mistakes. If the mint mark punch shifted between strikes, a secondary impression could remain visible. Under magnification, collectors may notice shadow-like outlines, doubling effects, or unusual positioning around the mint mark itself. While many examples are minor and carry modest premiums, the strongest and most dramatic specimens have attracted significant attention from specialists. But that's only the beginning. Another category involves double die errors. These occur during die creation rather than during the striking process. The result can be visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. In exceptional cases, the date, inscriptions, or portions of Lincoln's portrait may display noticeable separation lines. True double dies are among the most respected error types in numismatics because they originate from the die itself and can affect every coin struck from that die. Attention reset: if you have a jar of pennies nearby, this might be the moment to pause and think about what's inside. Not because every coin is valuable, but because almost nobody checks. That's exactly why discoveries continue to happen decades after these coins were minted. Now let's go even deeper. Certain 1980 Lincoln cents have reportedly surfaced with striking anomalies that challenge conventional expectations. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped plan case, die cracks, cuts, and dramatic die deterioration patterns have all been documented in various forms. Most are rare, some are extremely rare, and a select few are so elusive that they become legends within collector communities. Imagine a coin leaving the mint with multiple desirable characteristics combined into a single specimen. Perhaps a strong doubled die, a repunched mint mark, exceptional preservation, maybe even a striking anomaly. Suddenly, you're no longer looking at an ordinary cent. You're looking at a coin competing for attention among elite collectors. Condition, of course, changes everything. This is where many people make a costly mistake. They assume rarity alone determines value. In reality, condition often acts as a multiplier. A rare coin in heavily worn condition may be worth hundreds. The same coin preserved in pristine mint state condition can be worth thousands or tens of thousands. Professional grading services evaluate coins using precise standards. Minute differences in surface quality, luster, strike sharpness, and preservation can dramatically affect market value. A coin graded at the very top of the population can become a trophy piece, attracting intense bidding whenever it appears at auction. And here's where things become truly fascinating. Many experts believe that some of the most valuable examples remain hidden because their owners simply don't know what they possess. Think about it. A penny doesn't look like a luxury asset. It doesn't resemble a gold bar or a stack of cash. It sits quietly in a drawer, blending into ordinary change. That invisibility is precisely what makes hidden discoveries possible. Throughout numismatic history, extraordinary finds have emerged from inherited collections, estate sales, old bank rolls, and forgotten coin jars. Time and again, collectors have uncovered coins that were overlooked for decades. Every discovery reinforces the same lesson: rarity doesn't announce itself. Attention reset. What would you do if a coin you found this afternoon turned out to be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, more than the down payment on a dream home? It sounds unbelievable until you remember that the coin market has repeatedly produced such stories. Now let's address the number that gets everyone's attention. The figure often discussed in connection with elite examples and extraordinary error combinations reaches as high as $781,000. To be clear, that kind of valuation represents the absolute upper end of the spectrum. It assumes an extraordinarily rare specimen, exceptional certification, extraordinary demand, and a competitive auction environment where multiple high-level collectors are determined to own the coin. Not every 1980 mint mark Lincoln cent is worth a fortune. In fact, most are worth only a small premium over face value. But that's not what makes this story remarkable. What makes it remarkable is the possibility that a tiny fraction of these coins may occupy a completely different universe of value. In the collector market, perception matters, population reports matter, provenance matters, demand matters. When an item becomes known as difficult to locate, competition intensifies. The fewer examples available, the more aggressive collectors become when one finally appears. This phenomenon has transformed countless overlooked coins into headline-grabbing auction stars. The modern market has added another layer of excitement. Online marketplaces, digital auctions, social media communities, and specialized collector networks have dramatically increased awareness of rare coins. Information travels faster than ever before. A newly discovered variety can become the focus of nationwide attention within days. That increased visibility creates urgency. As more collectors learn about rare 1980 varieties and era coins, competition naturally increases. The supply remains limited, but demand expands. Economics takes over. More buyers chasing fewer examples often pushes values higher. Attention reset. Quick reality check. How many pennies have passed through your hands in the last year? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you inspect carefully? Probably very few. That's exactly why hidden treasures continue slipping through the cracks. Let's talk about identification. Collectors examining a potential rarity should focus on the date, mint mark characteristics, doubling indicators, strike quality, unusual surface features, and overall condition. Magnification is essential. Good lighting is essential. Patience is essential. Tiny details often separate ordinary coins from remarkable discoveries. However, one warning is critical. Not every unusual-looking coin is a valuable error. Damage occurring after a coin leaves the mint can mimic genuine minting anomalies. Scratches, environmental effects, machine damage, and circulation wear can create misleading appearances. Serious collectors rely on authentication and professional evaluation before drawing conclusions. This is one reason certified examples command stronger prices. Buyers gain confidence when recognized grading experts have examined and authenticated a coin. The psychological appeal of coins like this goes beyond money. They represent possibility. In a world where major investments often require substantial capital, rare coin discoveries remind people that value can hide in plain sight. They transform ordinary objects into extraordinary opportunities. They reward curiosity, patience, and knowledge. Perhaps that's why stories about rare pennies continue captivating Americans decade after decade. They speak to something universal. The idea that life-changing opportunities sometimes appear in the most unexpected places. And right now, somewhere in the country, another collector may be opening an old box, examining a forgotten roll of pennies, or sorting through inherited coins. They may be seconds away from discovering something remarkable. Could that person be you? The answer depends on whether you're willing to look. The next time you receive change at a store, don't dismiss those pennies as insignificant. Examine them, study them, learn their details, because history has proven that extraordinary value often hides behind ordinary appearances. And if you happen to find a 1980 mint mark Lincoln cent displaying unusual characteristics, don't rush to spend it. Research it, compare it to known varieties, seek professional opinions. What appears to be a simple penny could tell a very different story. The market for elite rarities remains active. Collectors continue hunting, auctions continue setting records, hidden treasures continue emerging, and the search never truly ends. Because somewhere between 1 cent and $781,000 lies a lesson every successful collector understands. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives disguised as pocket change. And speaking of hidden treasures, the next coin in our series may be even more mysterious. Rumors of a nearly forgotten variety have collectors searching old collections across the country, and some experts believe surviving examples are rarer than many famous key dates. You won't want to miss that story. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next coin we uncover could be the one everyone overlooks.